The first update of the new year with Nebraska Extension's Eric Hunt, who joins us here on the program every Monday. Eric, it's been, for the most part, a pretty mild start to 2026 with the exception of some ice and freezing rain that we got a couple of days ago. But as we kick off the new year, tell us about what's in store here for the first week of 2026.
Yeah, good morning, Alex. Thanks. Yeah, most of this week looks pretty mild. Actually, probably might be flirting with record temperatures at times, particularly across portions of central and west central Nebraska the next few days. I think Wednesday will be the warmest day statewide. Everybody will probably have a chance of being at least at 60. Certainly the southern part of the state, I think, will have chances of being low to mid 60s. Today might be the warmest day from, say, like Ogallala over toward about Lexington, where we may flirt with 70 again. We were in the low 70s, that part of the state yesterday. We did set several record highs yesterday from Lincoln toward Ogallala. And for places like North Platte and Holdridge and McCook, that's probably about the fourth or fifth record high we've set so far this winter. It's been almost non-existent in the western half of the state so far this year.
You had teased maybe a chance of precipitation here this week, but that kind of continues to be the story. There hasn't been a whole lot of accumulation here lately, has there?
No, there's parts of the state that are, especially once you get out into the panhandle, they're starting to get deficits that are on the order of about 20 inches in terms of snowfall. We just have really gotten almost no moisture in the western part of the state here in the last 30 to 60 days. And really the whole state has been pretty dry since at least like the first part of October. And because of that, we have seen a pretty big degradation of the drought monitor. We now have almost the entire state at least in abnormal dryness. We've seen drought expand into more central Nebraska. We've seen severe drought rightfully expanded more of the panhandle. I think if we don't start getting more precipitation here the next 2 or 3 weeks, we're just going to see that continue to probably expand. Good news is there is a decent chance of moisture, particularly across eastern Nebraska, but I think the whole state, other than maybe the northern panhandle, is going to have a shot at getting some at least reasonable moisture later in the week, starting later Thursday into Friday. Good chance that actually would fall in the form of snow across west central into northeastern Nebraska. I think as we get into, say, like the southeast quadrant of the state, so I'm talking Columbus, Omaha, and then, places south and east of there, there's a chance that we're probably going to start as rain, then maybe turn over to snow. Right now, the ensemble members are kind of all over the place in terms of snowfall total. Some are showing basically nothing in that region. Some are showing up to 6 to 8 inches. It really is going to depend on the track of the upper level low. I think if it takes a little bit more of a northerly and westerly track to what's currently projected, then I think there's going to be a shot at getting some decent snowfall into at least the western and northern portions of the state. But that snow isn't going to stick around too long. We're looking to turn back relatively mild again as we head into next week. So I think we're, quick cool down this weekend and probably going back at least in the 40s, if not back into the 50s for a good port, for a lot of us as we head into next week.
Sure. Well, paint the picture, Eric, I guess, for soil moisture, soil temps, kind of how that shapes up east to west across the state.
Yeah, I mean, both are, well, let's say soil moisture is definitely short for pretty much the entire state. The only area of Nebraska that's actually had any appreciable moisture so far in the last, say, since early December would be the northeast corner of the state. They've had more snowfall, but it's nothing, nothing significantly above average. It's probably just right around average. Most of us, though, have seen, like I said, very little precip. So soil moisture is really pretty deficient in the top layer throughout the entire state. And even if we were not getting moisture, if it had been, average temperatures or even certainly colder than average temperatures, we were keeping the ground frozen, we wouldn't be worried about losing moisture. But these days that are just warm, and especially these warm, windy days, this time of year, actually are harmful to our soil moisture. And, there's two ways I think you could have a bad winter around here. One, of course, being where you just have a ton of snow and a lot of, blowing snow and drifts that affect travel and affect livestock. And then there's the bad winter where, we just have a lot of warm, windy days where we lose that moisture that we really need going into the next season. And right now, we're definitely getting the latter.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Eric, as we round out our conversation, the first of the new year, what else is important to mention that we haven't touched on?
Yeah, I think it'll be... like I said, we really have not had any sustained cold over most of the state so far this winter. We may start getting, maybe if not more sustained cold, I think we're going to start seeing temperatures going back to closer to average, maybe even get a pretty cold snap as we head a little closer to Martin Luther King Day. So this week looks mild, a little cool down this weekend. Next week looks pretty mild. But yeah, I think we get toward January 18th and 20th. I think there's signs of more polar vortex stretching. And it may dump a little bit further toward the west. Pretty much all the cold so far this winter is dumped into, the Great Lakes region. So it's been pretty cold in places like Chicago and Detroit and Cleveland. It's been generally pretty mild out here. There's a chance that we may start seeing a little bit more widespread cold across the north central portion of the country. And I think that would open up some chances for more snowfall as well. I guess my final thought is the good news on this precipitation this next weekend is if we do actually get some decent snow across portions of the state, I think that's moisture we actually would keep given the ground right now is not frozen, and we probably would melt it within probably 3 or 4 days, so that water would actually go back into the ground. So that would actually be a useful snowfall if we do get it later this week.
Okay, absolutely. All right, Nebraska Extension's Eric Hunt joining us as he does every Monday here on the Rural Radio Network. I'm Alex McAvica reporting.